Good morning and welcome to Science News. My name is Felicity Thomas and today we are covering a very serious topic about to affect many locals in the Sunshine Coast town of Maroochydore. Little do they know they are about to get affected with the development of a nuclear power plant. We observe various moral theory standpoints on the concerning issue and plan to deconstruct these views for you so you're able to understand them. As you know, Australia has almost run out of natural resources and our coal industry is completely abolished. The only viable option for our society and economy has become nuclear energy. We observe various moral theory standpoints on the concerning issue and plan to deconstruct these views for you to understand. As you know, we will have run out of natural energy resources soon and our coal industry is completely abolished. The only viable option for our society and economy has become nuclear energy. It is cheap, readily available for us to source it, but not everyone is happy about the situation and it is extremely unclear what the right thing to do is. Today's controversial topic have unforeseen effects on our society.
Civil defense officials are urging you to take cover.
Please stay indoors with your windows closed.
In March of 1979, Americans awoke to a nuclear nightmare.
The potential is there for the ultimate risk of a meltdown at the 3 Mile Island atomic power plant outside Harrisburg, Pennsylvania.
In the worst case, a massive amount of radioactive material would be spewed into an area 5 to 10 miles in diameter and 20 miles downwind.
We have seen many nuclear tragedies occur in the past. However, in the small town of Maroochydore, Queensland,
nuclear power plant right here. Let's do it. 2 months away.
No. This place is high in biodiversity. You cannot destroy this area.
Are you kidding?
Excuse me, are you going to build a nuclear power plant?
That's the plan.
When's it happening? I need the money now.
Yep, no worries.
All me and my mates, we're out of work. We were coal miners. We've got nothing to do now.
Okay, that's the plan, guys. We're going to call in the big rigs. We're going to construct a nuclear power plant pad right here.
Good, that's what I want.
Production will begin in 2 months,
yes.
Not far away. Since we have no coal resources left in Australia, we're going to go straight.
We're not going to use any of that renewable energy.
No, we're going to go straight to nuclear power. It's quick, reliable, so
cheap.
Right here.
Give me the money in my pocket.
And I believe that this industry will create flourishing jobs for everyone. It's a booming...
Do you think industry is more important or
Give me
habitat?
some radiation.
We need habitat to survive. We need to protect the last remnants of what we've got. We cannot destroy everything.
Without the nuclear power industry, the booming industry, there is no economy. There is no Australia. We won't have the resources we have today. I'm sorry, but it's for the greater good for everyone.
as you are aware, construction is set to take place this week and production is set to take off in the next 2 months. Early in the segment, we saw 3 different stakeholders on the site showing contesting and controversial perspectives representing each individual's moral stance on the issue. Each individual is differently affected by the development of the nuclear power plant, and the opinions on it stems from their own personal morals and beliefs. Firstly, we observed the nuclear power plant facility developer and gained their perspective into why nuclear power is needed and why it is the right thing to do for our society and economy.
I don't understand how this is going to work. Like, we have no coal left. We're out of money. If we don't start this nuclear power plant, there's no Australia. I'm thinking about the people here. I've got the data, I've got the measurements. We need to start this nuclear power plant pad as soon as we can, because, as I said, if we don't start, there'll be no jobs, no money. The people with their families, like, what are we gonna do?
Let's switch over to Skye. Skye, can you please explain to us why the nuclear power plant manager is depicting such utilitarian traits in the way they are acting?
That was the owner of the new nuclear power plant, soon to be in Maroochydore. She's a utilitarian from way back. She wants what's best for the majority of people and thinks that nuclear power is the way to go. In regards to benefiting the majority, she thinks that any potential issues associated with using nuclear energy, such as the dangerous nuclear waste that is created, the increased risk of terrorism, or the radioactive incidents, will only affect the minority. She apparently has considered everything and everyone, and states that use of nuclear energy will produce the most favourable balance of good over evil, which has resulted in this decision. As a natural law theorist, I find it hard to believe that the good effect of nuclear power is at least as important as the bad effect. From my perspective, the bad heavily outweighs the good, which means nuclear power plants and the use of nuclear energy is not permissible. Take, for example, the radioactive incidents that have occurred. The Chernobyl disaster that occurred in 1986 was the world's worst nuclear accident. However, even after such a devastating incident, which should have led to ceasing all nuclear activity, there have been at least 57 further incidents. The bad effect of these incidents include fire and explosions of damaging property, health impacts to humans and other animals, and further environmental effects. Back to the owner of the nuclear power plant and her utilitarian views. She thinks that nuclear power use is better than any alternative action. That's saying that she thinks that solar, wind or tidal energy aren't as beneficial as nuclear energy. Thank you for listening. I'll leave that with you.
Thanks for that insight, Skye. I'm sure we all understand the utilitarian stance the nuclear power plant developer is taking, and we can relate to this in situations where we just want what's right for everybody and not just for ourselves.
Next, we observe an ethical egoist view from the desperate worker who is currently out of work and relying on the nuclear energy industry to take off.
Australia's really screwed things up. We depleted all of our natural resources, so that means I can't get a job in the coal mining industry anymore. There's nothing for me to do. I don't know what's going to happen to our economy. Everything's going down. We need something to happen. I need a job fast. Bring on nuclear energy, that's what the rest of the world's doing. Even though there was a disaster in some country the other week, I don't care. I need the money. I need it now. We need jobs.
Dakota, will you please explain to us all here how ethical egoism works and how it relates back to the employee in the previous segment?
Thank you, Phyllis from at the studio. The power plant employee, who appears to be of the self-centered nature due to the development and construction of the power plant, clearly holds a perspective of the matter based on the moral theory of egoism. Egoism is in fact a consequentialist perspective. Ethical egoism is a stance based on the right action being the one that advances one's best interests. As you can see in the video, the employee has a selfish and arrogant nature. Having come from a background with substantial money, he was given a forced redundancy as the mine he was working at went broke as the demand from coal diminished. He now has no money, and this job is what will keep him and his mates happy as such. He takes life for granted. He doesn't think of the outcomes that rise from nuclear industry taking off in Australia. He even says to himself, even though there was a disaster overseas, I don't care. It's quite clear that this employee displays an action based on the moral theory of egoism, as he shows the most favourable balance of good over evil is obviously for himself, meaning he doesn't think about what others at all, include He doesn't care about the environment or the future of others. He doesn't even care about the future of himself. The employee may not always appear selfish, as it's a tactic that the ethical egoists may use in order to get the best outcome for themselves. So, yeah, it's a tactic that they use. Pretty smart, really. It is clear that the egoist only cares for himself and for the action that he's doing most benefit him. He doesn't always care about the land. He doesn't care about the land being destroyed from the construction of the power plant. He doesn't care about the uranium which is mined across Australia. He doesn't care about the trucks carting uranium across the country. You know, he might actually support it because he'll be the one getting the money out of it. So he doesn't care about the waste of the nuclear reactors. He doesn't care about the half-life system of the reactors and how hundreds and hundreds of years must pass until they're able to be destroyed. Not only this, but also the increased risk of terrorism in our country and the repercussions if the plant was hit by a bomb. The employee couldn't give a care in the world about the future generations. Like I said before, couldn't even care about the future of himself and his kids. So he just wants the money that's going to come out of it. It's a typical example of ethical egoism, as his actions once again represent a decision which will only advance himself. Thank you. Back to you at the studio, Felicity.
Thanks for clearing that up, Dakota. It is clear in this situation why the worker may take an ethical egoism approach. However, we have many people out there who are concerned for the environment if this nuclear power plant development is completed. Let's go to one of those now.
I can't believe they're going to put a nuclear power plant right here. Smack bang in the middle of Maroochydore. Look at the flora and all the fauna around. It's just beautiful. And they want to destroy it. They want to clear it. They want to deposit waste here. Imagine what that would do to this area. Let's just destroy it. And the radiation is going to kill all the plants and all the animals. It's just going to destroy this area. Like, what about Fukushima? Doesn't everyone learn from those lessons? Chernobyl? What are people thinking? Anything could happen with this. We don't want the waste here, and we don't want the possibility of another escape of nuclear waste. There are so many other options. Nuclear power is not the way to go. What about solar, wind, tidal? There's all these other energy options. Nuclear power plant is not the way to go. We need to protect this environment. We're losing these environments. They're getting fewer and fewer of them. Where are the animals going to go? What are we going to enjoy on our weekends? There's not going to be any places to go. Let's protect it, guys.
Grace, we are well aware that the environmental scientist is concerned for the animals and vegetation within the habitat where the nuclear power plant is going to be developed. But could you please explain to us more?
Hey Felicity, I sure can help explain that one for you. I'm just out enjoying the beautiful sunshine in the pristine environment of Maroochydore at the moment. I'm feeling like a bit of a naturalist myself.
The environmental scientist that is currently being affected by the development of the nuclear power plant is exploiting a view that under the moral theory would be closest linked with the natural law theory, which is a non-consequentialist view. The natural law theory says that the morally right action is the one that follows the natural dictates of nature. We can see that the environmental scientist is truly passionate about nature and wishes to preserve the natural state of the environment and leave it as it is. They do not wish for this pristine environment to be damaged by mankind, especially when there is abundance of biodiverse flora and fauna within the area. According to this theory, the natural world, including humankind, exhibits a rational order in which everything has a proper place and purpose, with each thing given a specific role to play by God. In the situation of the nuclear power plant development, we have observed people portraying theories of an unrational order, where man is thinking more about themselves than about the environment. That is why it is crucial to have people who have a naturalist view and are thinking about others before themselves. This person is portraying how rational order should work under the natural law theory, and that as humans, we have the ability to assist and help those who don't always have a voice, but have just as much purpose to live as we do. In this grand order, natural laws reflect how the world is, as well as how it should be. In this current situation, Australia has become too greedy and has depleted its natural resources. Because nuclear is cheap and a quick fix, many stakeholders believe it is the answer, even if it one day creates a nuclear tragedy. There are other environmentally friendly and natural alternatives to energy, but they are likely to be a lot more expensive and take more time to develop than nuclear would. If nuclear was really the best and safest option, then previous disasters and tragedies wouldn't have occurred. Oh no, was that an alarm of the nuclear power plant ringing? I'm gonna have to leave, guys. It's okay, guys. I'm in the room now. I'm just freaking out about this nuclear power plant. Anyway, back to the natural law theory. The natural law theory says that people are supposed to live according to natural law. That is, they are to fulfill their rightful natural purpose. Natural law theory also says to act morally, one must act naturally and do what they were designed to do by God. They must obey the absolutist moral rules that anyone could read in the natural order. The natural law theory is simply another moral standpoint, but more often than not, we see it providing good outcomes that especially benefit the environment. If one were to choose the most reasonable moral theory to base their actions and views off, this could well be possibly the one, especially in situations where the environment, even society, are under threat. Thank you for listening, and I hope that helped you out. Thanks so much for that, Grace. And folks, thanks for joining us in today's segment of Science News. We hope that you are now fully aware of the nuclear power plant development that is occurring in your local area, and have come to an understanding of the various views that the concerned locals have. It is clear that there are many different stances on why it is right and a good thing for the nuclear power plant development to go ahead, but there are also many negatives, and it could have serious impacts if something were to go wrong with the reactors in the plant, like we have seen in previous circumstances. It really seems like at the moment this situation doesn't have a clear resolution. Thanks again, good night, and we'll see you next time on Science News.